It was supposed to be a quiet morning on my ranch. The sun was just breaking over the hills, lighting up the endless stretch of green fields I'd worked my entire life to build. I poured myself a cup of coffee, leaned on the fence, and listened to the horses rustling in the barn. I had no idea that in less than an hour, I'd be facing a group of self-important HOA board members trying to arrest me on my own land. And the best part? They didn't know who they were dealing with. I've dealt with homeowners associations for years. You could say I know their system better than anyone. See, a few years back, I started investing in real estate developments across the country's mall neighborhoods, gated communities, retirement parks. With each investment came a homeowners association. Over time, I bought more land, took over more properties, and slowly, one by one, gained controlling interest in dozens of HOAs. People thought it was just business. What they didn't know was that I had become the silent power behind hundreds of neighborhood rules, dues, and regulations. I never abused it. I just kept control quietly. But this particular HOA? They made the mistake of bringing their arrogance onto my ranch. It all started when a woman named Karen, the self-proclaimed president of the Maple Ridge HOA, sent me a letter claiming my ranch violated their community appearance guidelines. She said my fencing was too rustic and that my horses were a nuisance. I laughed when I read it because my ranch wasn't even inside their HOA boundary. They'd built a new neighborhood half a mile away, and apparently they thought they owned everything they could see. I ignored the first few letters. Then came the threats, fines, legal notices, and even a demand to appear before the board. That's when I decided to play along. I showed up at their little HOA meeting in their fancy clubhouse. Karen stood at the front like a queen ruling her tiny kingdom. She had that smug smile, the one that says she's used to everyone nodding when she talks. Around her were 6 other board members, none of them looking particularly bright. When she saw me walk in, wearing my boots and dusty jeans, she smirked. "Mr. Daniels," she said, "we've asked you here today to discuss your repeated violations." I sat down, calm and patient. "Violations of what exactly?" I asked. "Your property fails to comply with our neighborhood standards," she said. "Your fencing, your livestock, and even your barn color do not align with HOA policy." I raised an eyebrow. "Karen, my property isn't even in your HOA." She waved her hand dismissively. "We recently expanded our jurisdiction to include surrounding areas for the sake of maintaining community value." I almost laughed out loud. They thought they could just expand their control like a kingdom. I knew exactly what to do. "All right," I said. "You do what you need to do." I walked out without another word. 2 weeks later, I heard engines roaring up my driveway. 3 black SUVs rolled in like they were federal agents. Out stepped Karen, 2 men in cheap suits, and a local deputy who looked more confused than anyone. Karen strutted toward me with a clipboard. "Mr. Daniels," she announced loudly, "you are hereby under arrest for multiple HOA violations and failure to comply with enforcement." I actually laughed. "Arrest? You're kidding, right?" She wasn't. The deputy hesitated but reached for his cuffs. "Sir, apparently this is a legal matter." "I've been instructed to," I cut him off. "Deputy, you might want to check who you're talking to before you do something you'll regret." Karen rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. Another rancher who thinks he's above the law." I smiled. "No, ma'am. Not above it. I own it." The deputy froze. Karen frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Within seconds, a man on the other end picked up. "Yes, Mr. Daniels?" "Pull up Maple Ridge HOA," I said. "Transfer all executive control to my account." "Right away, sir." Smug look began to crumble. "What are you talking about?" She snapped. I showed her the screen. "You see this? I own 49% of Maple Ridge's developer shares. The other 51 just got transferred." "You're no longer president, Karen." "I am." The color drained from her face. The deputy stepped back, clearly realizing this was way out of his jurisdiction. The men in suits started whispering to each other. I took a step closer. "You came to arrest me on my own land," I said quietly. "You threatened me with fake authority. You trespassed. Now, I'm the one in charge." Karen started stammering. You can't do that." "That's not how it works." Oh, but it is, I replied. See, you should have done your research before you picked this fight. I control more HOAs in this state than you can count. You just happened to mess with the wrong property. The deputy gave me a nod. Seems like this is a civil matter after all, he said quickly before retreating to his car. Karen tried to save face. You can't just walk in and take over. Watch me, I said. Effective immediately, the Maple Ridge HOA board is dissolved. You're all relieved of your duties. I turned and started walking back toward my porch. Behind me, Karen yelled something about calling her lawyer. I didn't even bother responding. I'd seen dozens like her people drunk on tiny bits of power, thinking HOA rules made them royalty. The truth is, power doesn't come from barking orders. It comes from owning the ground you stand on. That night, I sat on my porch again, sipping my coffee. Watching the stars rise over the horizon, my phone buzzed. It was one of my attorneys. All wrapped up? He asked. Yep, I said. Maple Ridge is officially under new management. Send a letter to all their residents letting them know HOA dues are suspended indefinitely. Let's give them a break from Karen's tyranny. He laughed. You're really doing the Lord's work out there? Maybe I was. I didn't like using power unless someone forced my hand. But there's something satisfying about watching bullies collapse under the weight of their own arrogance. A week later, I got a call from a news outlet. Somehow, the story had leaked. Local rancher takes over HOA after being threatened with arrest. Reporters wanted interviews, photos, statements. I ignored them all. I wasn't looking for fame. I just wanted to remind people that freedom doesn't come from permission slips or fines. It comes from knowing your rights and protecting what's yours. A few days after that, I drove into town. At the cafe, people nodded and smiled at me. A few whispered my name like I'd done something legendary. Maybe in a way I had. I didn't plan it, but the story had spread across HOA communities all over the country. Some board members resigned overnight. Others started questioning their authority. Lawyers called me asking if I was really the guy who controls every HOA in America. I didn't answer that either. The truth is, control doesn't mean domination. It means responsibility. I never wanted to run the country's HOAs like a tyrant. I just wanted to make sure no one else had to face what I did, being threatened, fined or harassed by people who mistake paperwork for power. A month later, I got an email from Karen. It was short. Just a few lines. Mr. Daniels, I want to apologize for everything. I lost my job and had to move out of Maple Ridge. I was only trying to follow rules, but I see now how far I went. I hope you can forgive me. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry, because sometimes silence teaches better than words. Standing out on my land, watching the wind ripple across the fields, I thought about how fragile authority really is. One day you're the one giving orders. The next, you're standing on someone else's porch. Realizing you never had any power at all, that's the funny thing. About control, it's not about who shouts the loudest. It's about who understands the system. In me, I built it. I learned it. I own it. So when they say the HOA tried to arrest me on my own ranch, I just smile. Because what they don't tell you is how it ended with every HOA board member in that county answering to me. I didn't go looking for revenge. I just made things right. And sometimes, that's enough now. Whenever I get a letter from another HOA somewhere across the country, I just file it away. Chances are, I already own it. And if anyone else tries to tell me how to run my land again, well, let's just say they'll find out the hard way that I don't just live by the rules. I write them.